My name is Emily Carter, and for 15 years, I gave my family everything. Every dollar I earned, every late night shift I worked, it all went to them. I paid for the house they lived in, my brother's college tuition, and every emergency they ever had. And I never asked for anything in return. But the day I found out what they really thought of me, the day they handed everything I built to the one person who never lifted a finger, that was the day I realized I was never their daughter. I was just their wallet. They thought I would stay silent. They thought I would accept it. But they had no idea who they were dealing with. I grew up believing that family meant loyalty, that no matter how hard things got, we would always stand by each other. I was wrong. It started with small things. My mother would borrow money and forget to pay it back. My father would remind me how lucky I was to have a roof over my head, as if I wasn't the one paying the mortgage. My younger brother, Jake, treated my success like a personal insult, rolling his eyes whenever I mentioned work, scoffing when I refused to hand over my credit card. I ignored the warning signs. I told myself they loved me. I told myself I was doing the right thing. Then, one evening, everything changed. I had just finished a brutal 12-hour shift when I got a text from my mother. Family meeting. Be home by 8. I rushed back, exhaustion weighing on me, but nothing could have prepared me for what I walked into. My parents and Jake were seated in the living room, their faces unreadable. On the coffee table sat a stack of legal documents. "We've made a decision," my father said, his voice calm, almost rehearsed. "We're transferring ownership of the house." I blinked. "To who?" Jake smirked. "To me." The words hit me like a punch. "Excuse me?" My mother sighed as if I were being difficult. "You're always working, Emily. You barely live here anymore. It makes sense for the house to be in Jake's name." I stared at them, waiting for the punchline. This had to be a joke. I bought this house. I paid every bill. I kept this family afloat. And yet, they sat there, looking at me like I was the unreasonable one. My father cleared his throat. "Jake needs stability. He's been struggling." "Struggling?" I let out a hollow laugh. "He's 25, unemployed, and spends his days playing video games. Meanwhile, I'm working 60-hour weeks to keep this family going." My mother's expression hardened. "We're not asking, Emily. We've already signed the papers." Silence filled the room. My skin prickled. The walls felt smaller, suffocating. They had already done it. Without me. Without even telling me. A slow, cold realization settled in my bones. I wasn't their daughter. I was just their bank account. And now that they had drained me dry, they didn't need me anymore. I stood, my pulse roaring in my ears. "You really think I'm just going to accept this?" Jake leaned back, crossing his arms. "What are you gonna do? Sue your own family?" A challenge, a taunt. And in that moment, I made a decision. They thought they had won. They thought I would walk away quietly. They had no idea what was coming. I could have screamed. I could have flipped the table, thrown the documents in their faces, demanded an explanation, but I didn't. Instead, I smiled. A slow, knowing smile that made Jake's smirk falter just a little. They thought they had won. They thought they had backed me into a corner. They had no idea who they were dealing with. But before I continue, I want to take a moment to connect with you, yes, you, my amazing viewers. Where are you watching from? Drop the flag of your country in the comments below. And hey, I know you might be watching this alone, but let me remind you, no matter where you are not alone. Because right now, I'm here with you, sharing this story. All right, let's get back to it. I looked down at the papers. My name was nowhere to be found. Not as an owner, not as a contributor, just gone. It was as if I had never existed in this house at all. But instead of arguing, I leaned back in my chair and let out a soft chuckle. "Wow, you guys really went all out, huh?" My mother frowned. "Emily, don't be dramatic." "Dramatic?" I tilted my head. "You stole my house, my home, and you think I'm being dramatic?" Jake rolled his eyes. "You're overreacting. It's not like you don't have money. You'll be fine." My stomach twisted. Not because of what he said, but because of how easily he said it. Like I was just some ATM that had finally run out of cash. I inhaled sharply. Not here, not now. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. So I stood up, brushing imaginary dust off my sleeves. "All right." My father raised an eyebrow. "All right?" I nodded. "Yep, you win. House is yours. Congratulations." Jake's smirk returned, full force. My mother let out a relieved sigh. My father gave me a curt nod as if dismissing me from my own life. They really thought I was giving up. I turned to leave, but paused at the doorway. Then, with a casual shrug, I threw out one last line. "Oh, by the way, you might want to check the utilities. I had everything switched to my account years ago." And with that, I walked out. I didn't need to see their faces to know the panic had already set in. Let the games begin. The moment I stepped outside, the evening air hit me like a splash of cold water. The tension, the betrayal, the sheer absurdity of it all. It should have crushed me. But instead, I felt something else. Something I hadn't felt in years. Clarity. They had spent years controlling me, guilt-tripping me, making me feel like I owed them something just for existing. But now? Now, they had given me exactly what I needed. A reason to fight back. I walked down the driveway, my heels clicking against the pavement, and pulled out my phone. A few taps later, I was on the line with the utility company. Hi, I need to shut off service to A, property, immediately. The operator asked for my account details, and I gave them without hesitation. Electricity, water, gas, everything was under my name. A precaution I had taken years ago when I first started paying the bills. Not because I didn't trust them at the time, but because I knew deep down trust had always been a fragile thing in my family. By the time I reached my car, the request was confirmed. The house would go dark in less than an hour. I leaned against the hood of my car, exhaling slowly. Step 1, done. Now, it was time for step 2. I scrolled through my contacts until I found the number I needed. It rang twice before a familiar voice answered. Well, if it isn't Emily Dawson, to what do I owe the pleasure? I smirked. Hey Nathan, remember that favor you owe me? There was a pause, then a chuckle. I was wondering when you'd cash that in. What do you need? I glanced back at the house. The lights were still on, for now, but soon, everything they had stolen from me would start slipping through their fingers. I need you to dig up everything you can on a property transfer. Illegal, suspicious, anything that smells even remotely off. Nathan let out a low whistle. Sounds messy. I smiled. Oh, it's about to get a lot messier. I parked outside a small diner a few blocks away and stepped inside. The warm scent of coffee and grilled food filled the air, but I barely noticed. My mind was racing. I took a seat in the back corner where I had a clear view of the entrance and drummed my fingers against the table. The anger, the betrayal, it was all fueling me now. No more tears, no more playing the victim. Nathan arrived 10 minutes later, sliding into the seat across from me. He was the same as always, sharp, confident, and annoyingly perceptive. He took one look at me and raised an eyebrow. Damn, Em, you look like you're about to burn the whole place down. I gave him a tight smile. Wouldn't be the worst idea. He chuckled, but his expression turned serious as he pulled out his laptop. All right. I ran a preliminary search based on what you told me. Your family transferred the house out of your name last month. I clenched my fists under the table. And the way they did it? It's shady as hell. He turned the screen toward me and I skimmed over the details. A fake signature. A notary stamp from someone who didn't even exist. And the kicker? They had backdated the transfer to make it look like it had been done years ago. I swallowed hard. They really thought of everything, didn't they? Nathan watched me closely. You okay? I let out a slow breath. Yeah, just confirming what I already knew. He leaned back in his seat, arms crossed. So what's your move? I met his gaze. We're going to prove fraud. And when we do, I want to make sure they lose everything. Nathan whistled again. Remind me never to get on your bad side. I smirked. Too late, you already owe me. He laughed, then shut his laptop. All right. I'll dig deeper, but you'll need a lawyer to push this through. I nodded. I've got one in mind. Standing up, I threw some cash on the table and grabbed my coat. Nathan, I said as I turned to leave. Yeah? I met his gaze, my expression unreadable. Make sure they don't see it coming. He grinned. Wouldn't dream of ruining the surprise. As I stepped outside, the cold night air felt different, lighter, like the weight of their lies was already beginning to lift. This isn't over, Mom. Not by a long shot. The next morning, I woke up early, my mind already spinning with possibilities. Today was the day I started taking back what was mine. No hesitation, no second guessing. I sat at the kitchen table, sipping my coffee as I stared at the legal documents Nathan had sent over late last night. The fraud was undeniable: fake signatures, falsified dates, and blatant manipulation. My family had gone to great lengths to make it look legitimate, but they had underestimated me. A knock on the door snapped me out of my thoughts, right on time. When I opened it, Lisa Carter was standing there, briefcase in hand. She had been my friend since college, but more importantly, she was one of the best real estate attorneys in the state. She stepped inside, shaking off the morning chill. Emily, she said as she set her bag down, I read through everything. This case? It's solid. They won't be able to talk their way out of this. Relief washed over me. Good. I want to hit them where it hurts. Lisa gave me a knowing look. You want the house back. I shook my head. No, I want justice. She studied me for a moment before nodding. All right, then let's get to work. We spent the next few hours drafting everything, filing the fraud claim, setting up a formal complaint, and preparing the legal action. By noon, it was done. The papers were officially filed. There was no going back now. But I wasn't finished. Lisa zipped up her bag and eyed me carefully. You're planning something else, aren't you? I smiled. Oh, you know me too well. She sighed but smirked. Just don't get arrested. I laughed. No promises. After she left, I grabbed my phone and texted Nathan. It's time for the next step. Are you in? His response came almost instantly. Always. That evening, I pulled up outside my childhood home, the house that should have been mine. The lights were on and shadows moved behind the curtains. They had no idea what was coming. I stepped out of the car, my heels clicking against the pavement, and walked straight up to the front door. No hesitation, no fear. I didn't knock. I didn't wait. I turned the handle and stepped inside. The conversation inside stopped instantly. My mother, father, and brother all turned to stare at me, their expressions shifting from shock to irritation. Mark was the first to speak. What the hell are you doing here? I smiled, slow and deliberate. Oh, just checking in, seeing how the new owners are settling in. My mother folded her arms tightly. You're not welcome here, Emily. Funny, I said, tilting my head, because legally, this house isn't yours. Silence. Mark scoffed. You don't have a case. You have nothing. I pulled a folder from my bag and tossed it onto the table. Actually, I have everything. Documents proving the fraud. A lawyer who's already filed a lawsuit. Oh, and the best part? I stepped closer, lowering my voice. By this time next week, the court will freeze all assets tied to this house. Which means... I gestured around. You'll be squatting in my house. My father's jaw clenched. You wouldn't. I met his gaze without blinking. Try me. My mother's face paled. Emily, we're family. You wouldn't do this to your own blood. I let out a humorless laugh. Family? You stole from me, lied to me, and now you want to play the victim? I shook my head. No, this is what you deserve. Mark slammed his fist on the table. You think you're better than us, don't you? I leaned in, my voice dangerously calm. No, Mark, I know I am. With that, I turned on my heel and walked out, leaving them sitting in stunned silence. This wasn't just about winning anymore. This was about making sure they never dared to underestimate me again. At its core, this story isn't just about revenge or reclaiming what was stolen. It's about justice and self-worth. Too often, we're taught to tolerate betrayal simply because it comes from family. But blood alone doesn't define loyalty. Actions do. Emily's journey is a testament to standing up for yourself, refusing to be manipulated, and proving that no one, no matter how close, has the right to take what's yours. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about Emily's choices? Was she right to fight back, or do you think family should always come first? Drop a 2 in the comments if you love this story and think she did the right thing. Drop a 7 if you're not so sure. And if this story kept you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more gripping stories like this one. Your support means the world to me, and I can't wait to share more with you. See you in the next story.